10 obvious signs you both like each other. Here's what most people never learn. When someone's interested, they give off signals they don't even notice. Micro-adjustments, spontaneous self-corrections, emotional tension that leaks into their timing, tone, and choices. High-value individuals don't wait for declarations. They notice the pre-language, the instinctual behavior that says, "You matter more than you should right now." And the last one might finally give you the confidence to stop doubting yourself. 1. They alter their pacing the moment you enter. Watch what happens to their tempo. Someone's typing fast on their phone, then you approach and they slow down. Their speech stretches, they adjust their posture, the pace shifts. That's not politeness. That's an involuntary nervous system recalibration. Psychologists call it contextual override, when the presence of someone emotionally charged alters your default rhythm. Attraction isn't loud. It's a friction between who they were a second ago and who they become around you. Want leverage? Don't react. Keep your own pace. Holding your rhythm forces theirs to recalibrate to yours, and that psychological centering signals power. People are drawn to the person who makes them change tempo. 2. They double-check your reactions when speaking, even in group settings. This one's subtle but unmistakable. You're in a group. They're telling a story, maybe to everyone, but they glance at you during key moments. That's called evaluative referencing. They're subconsciously checking to see, do you approve? Are you engaged? Are you amused? Even if you're not the target of the conversation, you've become the emotional audience. This behavior doesn't show up unless there's desire, because it reveals a prioritization of your perception above the group's. That's status alignment. It says, your emotional feedback now matters more than the social context. To use this, stay still. Don't over-respond. That slight delay in your reaction, before smiling or nodding, creates gravity. It forces them to keep seeking your signal. 3. They break their own rules for you, then pretend they didn't. They said they're going home at 8, but they're still around at 9:15. They told you they never date coworkers, but now they're asking about your weekend. They mentioned how much they hate texting, yet they're replying within seconds. These are attraction micro-contradictions, and they're powerful. Why? Because when someone starts bending their identity to stay in your proximity, it's a form of subconscious loyalty. It shows you've penetrated their logic layer and triggered emotional override. This isn't about manipulation. It's about recognizing when your presence is disrupting their self-stated boundaries. Here's the mistake most people make: calling it out too directly. Don't. Just allow it. Accept the rule bending as natural. That acceptance reinforces your position as someone they're willing to shift for, and that shift increases their emotional investment. 4. They start qualifying themselves, without you asking. This is one of the clearest signs someone's emotionally engaged. Unsolicited self-validation. They'll say things like, "I've actually been super focused lately. I'm not like that with everyone. I usually don't tell people this, but..." This is called preemptive identity shaping. They want you to see them a certain way, not because you demanded it, but because your presence has created a value gap they're trying to close. When someone starts justifying who they are to you, it's not ego, it's exposure, and it's rooted in evolutionary psychology. We're wired to present optimal traits to those we perceive as higher value or emotionally significant. You don't need to validate or agree. Just let the frame stay unchallenged. When they qualify themselves, they deepen their own investment in you. 5. They test your reactions with subtle emotional triggers. Attraction is curiosity, but deeper attraction is calibration testing. They'll say something teasing, slightly sarcastic, or even vulnerable, not to see what you think, but to see how stable you are. They might say, "You're probably going to think I'm crazy. I bet you're judging me right now. Don't get all serious on me." What they're really saying is, can you hold emotional space without flinching? This behavior is tied to emotional safety detection. They're throwing out signals to assess whether you're reactive, judgmental, or grounded. If you over-explain or deny, you fail the test. If you stay relaxed, even playful, they recognize that you can handle tension, and that's deeply attractive. Calm presence signals emotional dominance. 6. They give you disproportionate attention, even when busy. This isn't about how often they talk to you. It's about how quickly they shift into connection mode when you appear. You walk into the room and suddenly they stop scrolling. You send a message and the tone changes instantly. You ask a basic question and they're suddenly giving it layered thought. This is known as emotional bandwidth prioritization. It's not that they're dropping everything. It's that their nervous system flags you as high salience. That means you matter more than the environment just told them you should. This behavior never lies, People don't allocate attention based on what they should do. They allocate it based on what their instincts deem valuable to hold on to. You don't need to chase this. Just notice when it happens. That attention shift is power, and it means they're already investing energy into emotional synchrony with you. 7. They introduce polarity, even subtly. Polarity is attraction's engine. Without it, everything turns to neutrality. But here's the thing. People don't always express it directly. Often they create contrast in ways that seem playful, contradictory, or teasing, because they're trying to generate emotional tension. They might say, "You and I would never survive a road trip together. I feel like you're the organized one. I'd ruin your system. You're way too intense for someone like me." Don't misread this as rejection. This is low-risk polarity building. They're manufacturing small friction to see what it ignites. This pattern is rooted in emotional projection mechanics. The brain seeks difference as a form of interest, and when someone builds polarity deliberately, they're trying to build spark. What do? Don't diffuse it. Feed it. If they say you'd clash, smile and agree, then add fuel. Say, "Exactly." But the chaos would be entertaining. That type of confident escalation shows you're not afraid of emotional friction, and most people crave that kind of play, even if they never admit it. 8. They slow the exit, even when the moment is done. This is one of the most dependable attraction indicators. Not how someone enters the interaction, but how they try not to leave it. You'll notice small delays. They say goodbye, then bring up one last thing. They start walking away, then pause to check something. They finish a message, then send a second follow-up right after. It's called emotional residue clinging. The brain doesn't want to close the loop because the emotional value of the interaction is unresolved. This isn't politeness, it's emotional inertia, and it's involuntary. Your leverage here? Don't force the goodbye. Let it hang. Let the pause exist. When someone slows the end, it means the interaction gave them a feeling they're not ready to lose. And if you hold still, that desire deepens. 9. They mirror your language, but not your words. Forget cliché mirroring like copying posture or phrasing. Advanced mirroring happens at the emotional level, through tone, pacing, and conversational structure. You might notice they start matching your rhythm. You speak calmly, and they start doing the same. You use metaphor, and suddenly they're doing it too. You phrase something a certain way, and a few minutes later, their language starts following that blueprint. This is called neurolinguistic convergence. It's a sign the subconscious is prioritizing rapport, trying to create alignment without conscious effort. This behavior shows deep psychological pull. They're not trying to imitate, their brain is trying to belong. You don't need to reciprocate. Just notice when your emotional cadence starts shaping theirs. That means you've entered the dominant frame, and they're now syncing to you. 10. They frame you in their future, subtly but consistently. This is the most powerful subconscious indicator of mutual interest. Future pacing. Listen carefully. If someone keeps anchoring you into future contexts, even casually, it's not accidental. You'd probably love that restaurant. I could see you hating my playlist. If you were there, it would have gone differently. This is low-risk future envisioning. They're testing how your presence feels in scenarios that haven't happened yet. They're not saying, "Let's do it." They're saying, "Wouldn't it be interesting if..." Psychologically, this is called mental simulation. It's how the brain prepares for emotionally rewarding possibilities. And it only happens when desire has already entered the system. When you hear this, don't make it concrete. Let it stay light, even playful. The power is in the unspoken tension, the possibility. That ambiguity builds anticipation, and anticipation builds attraction. Subscribe if you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't seek signals. They interpret them, own them, and act with confidence.